And the topic for today is dealing with abuse, okay? Last week we were talking about families and parenthood, but now we're going to talk about dealing with abuse, which is a controversial or a really sensitive topic for many people because many people may suffer abuse and we don't know about it, or may suffer abuse and they don't want to get out of that place. But we can do something to identify the different types of abuse that there are and also how to help these people who are suffering these kinds of problems. So right now we're going to jump into the topic without further ado, and we're going to start with the definition of what's abuse, okay? And basically abuse can take many forms, but as you see over here is the physical, emotional, or mental mistreatment of another person. So abuse can take many forms. It can be either physical, by hits, by pulling the hair, by doing some cuts or doing an injury in the person, or emotional. Why do I mean by emotional? Is that you mistreat a person, like you tell them, okay, you are dumb, you're stupid, and you take nasty words, or mental mistreatments for another person. What's the difference between emotional and mental mistreatment? What do I mean by mental mistreatment is that you make a person feel like if they are worthless, okay? It's not the same like telling a person you're so stupid because that's emotional abuse, then to make sure that they feel that they are trash, okay? Like with making them feel like with everything they do, everything is worse, or everything they do is something that other person can do better. That's in this case mental abuse. It can have several forms, for example, that may range from physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. When we are talking about abuse, it's a really complicated topic, not to understand and not to explain, but to deal with. Because, you know, from physical abuse, sometimes you may see the signs or you may see the evidence that somebody is being a victim of this. You may see that they have different injuries on their arms or their faces and everything, but they don't want to say it, okay? They don't want to say it or they invent excuses. The reason why is because they believe that that's normal, or they believe that they cannot be with the person or without the person who's causing those problems. So therefore, people that normally tend to be the abuse victim, they don't want to speak because of fear, because of what the person who's abusing them is going to say, is going to do, how is he or she going to react. Emotional, as we mentioned, can be in many ways. Like, for example, when somebody mistreats you, imagine that your parents, imagine a kid who was not wanted, as we saw in the last topics, from a family who are teenagers, and he's always blamed for the things that are happening to them. Like they say, if you hadn't had burned, then I would have had this opportunity. If you hadn't had burned, then I would have done this with my life. That's mental abuse. That's emotional abuse as well, because you are letting that person know that they are trash and they are worthy of anything. And sexual abuse. Well, sexual abuse, it takes many forms. Okay, I want to clarify that. Because when we think of sexual abuse, we normally just think about, raping someone. Okay, if you know the meaning of the word rape, that means violar in Spanish. Raping a person. But that's not necessarily just it, okay? Because sexual abuse can be touching or either seeing a person in a certain way that is not proper. Like, for example, if somebody's touching your back and they starts going to some places they shouldn't, that's sexual abuse as well. If somebody keeps on insisting, if you are with them, that's sexual abuse as well. If somebody forces you to do something that you don't want to, that can be either physical and sexual abuse as well. It's not only raping, but there are many other aspects included into that we're going to see in detail. Something that it's important for us to know is that abuse is never the fault of the victim, okay? It's not that the victim caused something to generate this problem. No, they are victims. That's the point. They are not the one responsible for causing this problem. They are just the ones that are suffering the consequences of the things that are happening at their houses. The person whom a crime is committed is called the victim. So, you know, something that happens with the victims is that sometimes they are vulnerable. Vulnerable in the sense that they don't want to, like, for example, say that they are going through this problem because they are so emotionally weak. They believe that they need to have this kind of people of their lives. But we will see later on what can we do in these kinds of circumstances. Okay, we already know what's abuse, okay? And we already know in what kind of aspect. But we're going to define the types of abuse. Okay, we have 3 of them. We're going to define them at a better extent so you can have better idea of what they mean. The first one, physical abuse, is the mistreatment that results in the injuries on the body. It includes burns, bruises, and broken bones. Burns, like if somebody burns you
Is
with
there
something that is, excuse me, wait, right now, questions at the end because we are recording, okay? I will give you the time, don't worry. So burns, like for example, there have been some cases that have been documented through history of people who have burned someone else with a really, really hot metal. Like for example, they put it on the stove, they heat it up, and they burn the other person. As well, bruises. Bruises are, the purple spots that you will see that appear on the skin of the person when they receive a hit. That you may, for example, if you receive a hit on your eye, and this will become purple, that's a bruise. Okay, that's something that leaves a mark. And finally, broken bones. Like if you see a person that suddenly has his leg or arm broken, that may be a sign of physical abuse. Not in all the cases, because accidents may happen. But depending on the attitude that the person has, and we will see what the attitude is just in a second. We have emotional abuse. That is the use of words or gestures to mistreat another person. It includes angry words, threats, constant teasing, or criticism. Why do I mean by words and gestures? Okay, there are many gestures that you probably know that they are wrong. Okay, that they mean something. And I don't want to make them because, I don't want to give you that bad example. But in the case of words, there are many words that can be said that can hurt the person emotionally. Like, for example, if a parent always treats, like, for example, his daughter, like somebody that's stupid, that doesn't know how to do the things, that she's silly or she's losing some capabilities of the brain, she's going to believe that. That's emotional abuse. She's going to believe that, and she's going to spend the rest of her life thinking that she's stupid and she's not good enough. It includes angry words. Like, for example, we all get angry, okay? We are all human beings and we all have emotions and we get angry. But with angry words, what happens is that normally there is a term in psychology that is called the emotional, if I'm not mistaken, the emotional struggle. And it's basically said that principle said that we tend to scream angry words at a higher pitch when we are really, really angry with a person. We believe that the higher we scream or the most angry words that we use, we're going to win that fight. Okay, like for example, you start fighting with somebody, you say, and you are this and that, and the other person, and you are this, but you start screaming even louder and you say, you are this and this and this and that. And therefore, that's something that is creating in yourself, like a sense that you are winning a fight, even though you're not in a fight. Threats, like for example, if you don't do what I tell you, I will do this. Sadly, there have been many cases in which normally wives are the ones who are mistreated, wives and kids. And normally the people who mistreat them is the father. And normally one of the threats that these kind of people receive is like, if you tell someone anything about the things that I have done to you, you will see what will happen. They may say, I will kill you, I will do something even worse, or I will take it against somebody else in the family. And this is shamelessly something that is real in our country. It has happened to many families, it has happened in many homes. I hope that it hasn't happened to you, but in many, many places, this is really common. Okay, this is very common, and it's a shame. Constant teasing or criticism is like you are always telling a person that they are not good enough for doing something. Like there have been some cases. Once I remember I read a book about psychology that is called, it was Healing the Broken Mind. And there was a little example over that I want to share to you to exemplify this. There was a girl that she was at the university. She was like 22 years old. And every time that she had a class with a certain teacher, she blocked out. Like the teacher asked questions and she was like, she couldn't answer because she was scared of the teacher. She didn't know why, because the teacher was not a mean person. She was really nice with everybody, but she couldn't answer. And when she went to the psychologist, she discovered that, or the psychologist discovered that she had a trauma from her, from her childhood, that her mom, every time that she did something at school, for her mom, it wasn't enough, okay? And she got a 9 on a test, and she went home and said, Mom, I got a 9 on the test. She was like, why didn't you get a 10? Huh? Didn't you study enough? Are you not smart enough? And those were the kinds of criticisms that she suffered through her lifetime. So basically what happened with this teacher is that she reminded her of her mom. She had the physical image, well, not the physical, the mental image of her mom when she saw the teacher. Therefore, for her, it was like if her mom was telling her that she wasn't good enough. This was emotional abuse, okay? And that abuse caused her to have that kind of trauma, even on it happened years and years ago, and she was now an adult. She was suffering still all the different effects of that. Sexual abuse is the sexual contact that is forced upon a victim and it is in various serious crimes. When it occurs between families, it is called an incest. And as well, this is something that happens in our family really, really, well, not in our families, but I mean in our country. It happens in our country in a regular basis. There have been many cases, not only here, but also in many places around the world in which this happens, in which there is always sexual contact that is forced between one member of the family or the other. You know, it's a meme, right? People always make a meme like, your uncle did this to you, but it's a serious issue. Because people who suffer this kind of problems, they are scarred for life. Okay, they are scarred for life and they will have a trauma and something that is going to be difficult to deal with for the rest of the years to come. And they will need help, comprehension, and many, many hours of treatment to make sure that they can recover from that. And it's not that easy, okay? It's not that easy. But anyways, as I was telling you, it's a sexual contact that is forced upon the victim. A violation or a raping is not the same when it has the condolences of the other person. So that means that it has the permission of the other person. If somebody has the permission, in that case, it cannot be processed as a crime. And that happens sometimes. But when you don't have the permission and you do it by force, then it's a crime and something that should be punished by law and should also be treated in the case of recovery for the person who suffered. Okay, now we know the types of abuse. Now, what can cause an abuse, okay? This is really important because it will help us to determine why a person may abuse another one. And the first one, the abuser was abused as a child. In psychology, there is a term that is called the vicious cycle. You probably have heard it before. And a vicious cycle is something like, for example, if you are treated in a certain way, you will treat another person or other people in the same way that you were treated. It's the golden rule of life. Treat people as the way you want to be treated. And what happens with this, the abuser was abused as a child. It's like, imagine that you have a parent or your mom or dad was violent with you when you were a kid. What will happen is that when you become a parent, you will become violent as well with your kids and your kids with their kids, and the cycle will continue. And people normally, they do not break out of the cycle unless they ask for help and unless they really want to change and they really want to break that cycle. Otherwise, it's something that keeps on repeating and repeating and repeating over time, and sadly, it doesn't have an end. Alcohol or drug abuse. Why alcohol or drug abuse is over here? Well, because those things are hallucinogenous agents. So that means that they make you feel like relaxed or good in some cases, or they make you forget about the reality for a couple of minutes. And what this generates is that at that moment where people are drunk or people are, you know, hallucinating because of a drug, they don't tend to know what they are doing. Or if they know, they have a loose memory of what happened because you know that alcohol inhibites your capability of your brain to think straight. Okay, so at that time, people who are under the effects of alcohol or drug abuse, they may do things that they regret because they didn't know that they do it. Okay, it's not to blame those two types of vices, but it's something that is regular to happen because people may lose control when they consume these kinds of stuff. That's why it's important. It's better to keep on clean. It's important to not try these kinds of things because they mess up your mind and they mess up the things that you live for. Unemployment and poverty. Why unemployment and poverty? Well, in some cases, because, you know, it's related to money, okay? To not having the money to live a decent life or not having the money to have the things that we want. It happens in many cases, and I will exemplify this to you with a little drama that we saw when we were at school. When I was a kid about your age, I remember that we have a group of actors that came to the school and they perform a little, you know, a little drama. And what happened with the drama was that it was a typical drama of abusive father and just a wife who was a victim of abuse. What happened in the drama was that he was unemployed, okay, and they were really poor. And one day he comes from the father comes from the street after spending some days doing God knows what, and the mother serves a little bit of beans on a plate. And he gets angry. And he says, "What is this?" And then he throws away the plate. He's really angry. He's really mad at the wife in the plate. And he says, "You never do something good. You do not make delicious food. That's why I have to eat outside." And then she says, "But I don't have money to buy better things. I could do better things if I had money. And now it's my fault," he said, "because I don't have a job, you don't have money to make better food. I will go away." And that's what's abuse. And that's why unemployment and poverty are a good example of why this can cause abuse in a family, because people tend to act like that when there are no resources. Divorce, obviously divorce, because divorce, it never ends up well. Divorce, when people normally get divorces because they are angry at each other or they have done something that may hurt the other person's feelings, and that's why they decide to split apart. Feelings of worthlessness. What do I mean by that? Is that you don't feel valuable, okay? You don't feel valuable for other people and you don't feel valuable yourself. And what you do is that in order to feel valuable, you make people feel less than you so you can feel a little bit better about yourself, okay? That's the reason why this feeling, it creates a lot of damage to people who face it. Emotional immaturity. There's a lot of people that even though they become adults, they become emotionally immature in the sense that they believe that everybody is against them or that everybody is their enemy, okay? Is their enemy wants to do something bad against them. And that's a psychological problem, and that is one of the mental health problems that people normally don't treat because they don't know how to do it. Inability to deal with anger. Anger is something that everybody suffers. We all experience anger in many different ways, but sometimes we need to know how to control it, how to handle it. If we don't know, the problem is that it's going to control us, and we're going to do something that we probably will regret later on in life. Lack of communication or coping skills. Coping skills means being patient with other people, okay? Understanding other people. And communication is because communication is the key for having a really, really good mental health, if you remember. Because when you communicate, when you speak, remember that what you're doing is that you are expressing your ideas, your feelings, and your emotions to someone else. So therefore, it's something that we should do. So Anna, I will silence you because I don't want to sound over there. Thank you very much. So as I was telling you, coping skills is how you, for example, understand another person, support another person, and many others. I see that Sherry has her hand raised. Okay, let me stop for a minute. So as I was telling you, that's the lack of communication because communication needs to exist for us to have a healthy relationship. Imagine that you, in your future, you have a wife, you have a husband. Every relationship, not only marriage, friendships, and everything, every relationship that you have requires communication. Like telling to the other person, you have these characteristics that I don't like, but I know that you can overcome them, but we need to talk to one another to understand one another and to talk in a really, really mature way and to come to terms to make sure that we can work it out. But some people lack this kind of ability to communicate what they don't like or what they like about the other person. Therefore, they generate this problem. Let's continue. So what are the signs of abuse? Okay, the signs of abuse, that means that a person is being a victim of abuse if any of the types of abuses that we have discussed before. If we're talking about a teenager, okay, somebody about your age, a way to identify is that frequent absences from school, okay? If somebody doesn't go to school so regularly, maybe it's because there's something happened at home and we don't know about it. But that may be an indicative or that may be a sign that things are not going so well at home, okay? That may be a sign. Lack of interest in school. When you are the victim of abuse, it's not only like if you are suffering just mentally or physically or emotionally, but also you lose interest in life because life is an endless cycle of suffering, okay? And no matter what you do, no matter where you go, you will always be a victim of that. Therefore, people lose interest, especially young people. They lose interest in the things that are important to them because they don't feel like life is worthy anymore. Dirty or neglected appearance, okay, because if you're dirty or neglected, it's like that means like you are losing the motivation to even be good with yourself, okay? You don't feel good about yourself, and you don't care. You don't care anymore. You're starting to feel like more like a ghost in the sense that you don't want to do anything else. Extreme shyness, sadness, or fear. Um, let me make a difference over here because there's people who shy naturally, okay, because that's their characteristic, and not shy because they were victim of abuse. And there is a difference because it's not that people is shy, but it's reserved, okay? It's reserved that they I don't want to interact with many people because probably they don't have that much confidence. But when somebody's shy, it's like they have the fear to talk, okay? They have the fear to talk, and you probably will always see them sad. You will see them at school that they are crying, or when certain thing happens or certain event comes to place, they get fear. Like that means that they are scared for the things that are happening because that reminds them of the situation that they have at home. Shyness, because since people normally has been abused, they lose the ability to trust other people. Okay, because somebody is hurting them, they don't know if they can trust anybody else. Because if they try to come with another person and try to open themselves up, they don't know if they will receive the same treatment. Because for them, that may be something normal, even though it is not. But for them, that may be. Therefore, they cannot open to other people and they are scared to establish a relationship. They are always sad over things that are happening at home. Aggressive behavior towards others. As I was telling you, if you remember, this is the cycle, the vicious cycle that starts and then go to another place, and repeats itself. Probably you have seen this story or image, or I don't know what it was, but it was a little image in what you see that a kid is being punished by his dad, and his dad hits him, it like slaps him in the face. The kid goes to school, creates a problem, and then hits another boy on the face. When the boy gets home, the boy that was hit on the face gets home and he sees his younger brother or sister, he hits him or her in the face as well to discharge the emotion that he felt. Then the other kid comes and then he hits the dog or the cat or any pet that they have to discharge the emotion that they have. Therefore, aggressiveness is something that is transmitted from person to person if we don't know how to control it. Therefore, if you see a person that is aggressive with no reason with someone else, that may be an indicator that that person is probably being a victim of abuse and needs a little bit of help. Inability to communicate. What do I mean by inability to communicate? It's like you cannot express your emotions in a correct way. Or you can say things that are harmful, but in your opinion, they aren't. That is something that as human beings we have, and it's the ability for understanding emotionally what other person feels. But when you don't have that ability, that means that you can say things hurting other people. Probably you have never seen this movie, but there is a movie from Jim Carrey that is called Liar Liar, or in Spanish Mentiroso Mentiroso. And the plot of the movie is that he cannot lie anymore because of the dream, the wish of his kid. And this caused him many problems. And I'm not telling you that lying is wrong, okay? Lying is wrong. But I'm telling you that there are things that can be sugar coated. Why do I mean by sugar coated? That they can be said in a nice way so they don't become something hurtful for someone else. Sometimes we may say the things without thinking and they may hurt other people, but we should think about the things that we're going to say and the effects that they may have on other people as well. In the movie, as I was mentioning, Jim Carrey mentions an example, like, for example, imagine that your mom is telling to the kid, ask me when she was pregnant, do I look beautiful? And what if I say, at that time I had to lie? I say, yes, you look beautiful, you're gorgeous. Because how do you think that she would have felt if I told her, no, you look fat, you look like a cow? That would have hurt her feelings. That would have made her feel bad. And in that case, it's not that I'm telling you lie. Lying is good. No, it's not, never good. But what I'm telling you is like, if you do not have something to say that is going to construct, don't say it, okay? If you have anything good to say, don't say it. If you have anything good to say, then say it. It's okay, no problem. People will like to listen to good things. We did it with the experiment of the drawings in the 2 pages. But these people, they don't know how to react to those kinds of situations. And what they do is that they say whatever comes to mind, and they don't care if they hurt others or not. And finally, we're going to talk about breaking the cycle of abuse, how you get out of that, how you get out of that place, and how can you ask for help. In this case, the longer abuse continues, the greater the damage will cause, either physically, emotionally, or mentally. The key to breaking the cycle of abuse is reporting it and talking about it. If a person has been abused or is abused, he or she should look for people who can be trusted, like a family member, teachers, nurses, doctors, or psychologists. For helping somebody that is suffering abuse, there's something that we can do. Let them know that there is somebody there to listen to them, to understand them, to help them out, to get out of that place. And they need to take the decision to get out of that place. They need to finally say, okay, I will get out of this, I will fight it, and decide to get help from someone. That's the only way. Because abuse ends up when the victim decides that it is enough. That is the lesson from this. Hey, with that, we're going to talk about some places in which we can get help. Obviously, the police department. If somebody's going to suffer any damage or being hurt, we can call the police and make sure that they take care of that. Local hospitals, in the case that somebody was injured while they're being abused and they are in a critical condition, we should take them there. Crisis hotlines, that they are telephone service that you can call for help. They exist still, and you can call to talk to a person and tell them about your problem. Sometimes these hotlines, they are really interesting because they have like a code language that you can use, so the other person that is listening to you, they don't understand what you're talking about, but they understand what you are referring, that you are being abused or somebody's being abused. Support or self-groups, people who have chance to talk with you and listen to other similar problems. People who have gone through the same process and they have suffered the same things, but they have come out on top, and they can help you out with their experiences and the different opinions that they have. With that, we're going to finish the topic, and we are going to go to T-Box, and I will share with you the link for the quiz. In the meantime, I want to know if there is any questions, something you want to know, something that probably I didn't mention and you want to add. Let me know. It's your time to speak. No? No question? Okay, Marco, somebody wanted to say something, right? While I was explaining. So right now is your time.
Alan.
Okay, the follow. Alan, tell me. What do you wanted to say? Alan.
Me.
Alan?
Nothing that if I disappear, it's because of the internet, because the internet is bad here.
Okay, no problem, Alan. I understand. Okay, everyone, if you have T-Box open, please go over there. I have shared with you the link to the quiz about the topic that I just mentioned. So I want you to go there. I will share with you the screen so you can see the post and you can access to it. So if you go to T-Box, this is the post that I just made, the one that says Zoom quiz 7B, access the following link. As always, you click on that, you will be taken to this little page. You click on continue, and then you will have the quiz. Remember to include your email and your complete name. Complete name, I mean just one name and one last name. We just have 4 questions, and then I will see your answers right now. So I will please ask you to go right now to T-Box and do the quiz. Let me know if you have any problems to access as well, and I see how can I fix it. Okay, try to access, and I will be checking the answers over here.
Mister, ay, perdone que mi correo electrónico, el nombre sea muy raro.
No, don't worry, Marco. Don't worry. That's not an issue.
Mister, ya terminé.
¿Ok?
Tuve una mala.
Una mala. Entonces quiere decir que de puntaje tuvo 75.
Sí, mister.
Ok. No lo voy a mostrar esta vez porque como este es evaluado, no quiero que vean la respuesta de los demás, así que esta vez lo vamos a hacer y luego cuando ya todos hayan terminado vamos a ir viendo tal vez unos cuantos por ahí. Ya tenemos 2 respuestas, pero nos faltan unas cuantas. ¿Hay alguien que no se habría conectado ahora a esta clase? Alan, Andrés, Antonio, Armando, Daniela,
Creo que Josué.
Dariana, Emilia. No, Josué aquí está. Josué,
Ah, va.
Majo Bolaños, Marco, Mónica, Paola, Ricardo, Sherry y Tadeo. Ashley creo que no está.
Ya terminé, mister.
Ok,
Tuve
thank
una
you.
mala.
De verdad.
Yo terminé.
Sí,
Vaya,
la
vamos.
última.
Ya vamos a revisar. No, Ashley no está. ¿Qué habrá pasado con Ashley? Vale, tenemos más Bolaños, tenemos el de Andrés, tenemos el de Sherry, Tadeo, Ricardo. Vamos a ver quién más lo voy a terminar. ¿Alguien sabe qué pasó con Ashley? ¿Por qué no se conectó? De casualidad. ¿No? Ya tenemos 7 respuestas. Solo nos faltan 9.
Mister, me saqué 75 de 100.
¿Eso
Una
es?
mala.
Eso es bueno. No es bueno tener una mala, me refiero a la nota. 75 bastante bien, pero son 3 de 4. Obviamente como este es más cortito, por eso es que las notas solo pueden ser 25, 50, 75 o 100. ¿Hay alguien que de los que ya respondió que logró el 100? ¿No?
Mi.
Ok,
Yo.
chévere. Antonio también. Y podemos ir viendo. La mayoría, por lo que veo acá, está entre 75 y 100. Bastante bien. Quiere decir que nadie ha logrado menos de 75. Muy bien. Aquí vemos todos. ¿Eh?
Pobre nadie.
Pobre nadie es la única persona. Muy bien, tenemos 3 personas con 100 y la mayoría 75, 76. Quiero ver cuál es en la que la mayoría se ha confundido. Porque creo que la mayoría que tiene 75 es la misma pregunta en la que se han confundido, quizás.
Social, de seguro.
Puede ser. Porque habían unas que eran
Recuerden quién se equivocó en social.
mero tricky. Aquí es, la segunda es donde vemos que la mayoría se ha equivocado. Como vemos ver, aquí dice 5 de 10 respuestas correctas. O sea que estamos 50-50 ahí. Esa es la que les ha causado problemas, ¿verdad? Vamos bien, hay cosas que son tricky. Con respecto a lo que mencionaba Marco, por cierto, de compartirles la presentación, sí se la puede compartir. Pues a la otra semana, cuando ya se nos confirme que la otra semana probablemente solo es de repaso. Así que la otra semana la voy a subir. No la quiero subir antes, porque no vaya a ser que tengamos un problema por eso. Pero mientras, si quieren repasar, si quieren recordar un poco de los temas, siempre está el canal de YouTube, ahí están los videos de las explicaciones anteriores y también va a estar el de esta hoy en el transcurso del día para que ustedes lo puedan revisar y ¿cómo se llama? Lo puedan revisar y puedan ir ahí tomando notas, viendo qué era lo que dijimos en las clases anteriores, porque más que todo, ¿cómo les explico? Más que todo va a ser lo que les he estado explicando estos días, ¿ok? No va a haber nada extra o nada sacado del libro, porque bueno, la explicación que yo tengo acá son del libro, así que yo sé que muchos probablemente no tienen el libro en casa, Así que nos vamos a basar más en eso, para que ustedes puedan estudiar tranquilamente. Y en el caso de las personas que no lograron hacer el examen del tercer periodo, por X o Y razón, recuerden que en el caso de ustedes, si vieron el correo que se les mandó a sus papás, se les va a duplicar la nota del examen de cuarto periodo, ¿ok? Así que si, digamos, tienen un 9 en el de cuarto periodo, ese 9 va a contar por el cuarto y el tercer periodo. Así que ya están informados al respecto. Y nos quedan menos de un minuto, ¿ok? Solo nos faltan como 3 personas, creo yo, en terminar de contestar. Así
Mister,
que, dígame.
¿usted se acuerda qué día fue su examen? El del tercer periodo.
Martes.
Ah, ok.
Martes. Porque Majo, ¿verdad? Usted sí lo hizo.
Ah, ok.
La
No me
única
acordaba.
persona que no lo hizo fue Mónica, creo yo. Mónica y creo que Antonio, pero Antonio sí lo logró hacer después.
No, yo sí lo hice.
Sí lo hizo, ¿verdad? Ah, pues no, solo
No, en el
Mónica.
segundo periodo.